Hello, everyone. Welcome back to CKR 69.9 here to give you the dulcet tones of amazing new released movie reviews. Today, I am your host, the Geek Informant, and today we are going to give you a wonderful, wonderful review of Leigh Whannell's Wolfman. Now sit back, relax, get a bag of chips and a bucket of popcorn, maybe get some nice soothing tunes, and just relax while you listen to the tones of four grown men talking about movies way too much. Anyway, hi guys. Welcome to our first real review of 2025. Sorry, I wanted to try something new. So uh here we are. But you know who we are. And we have our special guest Commander Cool, aka Ben. Big fan of werewolf movies, so he wanted to join us today. So let's just jump into it. And all right, mute yourself so you don't interrupt me because I'm the most important one because I'm talking right now. But anyway, sorry. So let's talk about Wolfman. Oh boy, this is going to be an interesting review. Wolfman, Leigh Whannell's The Fly, but mediocre. Not the worst thing ever, but certainly not a great film either. So I'm not going to do my usual review. I kind of just put everything down low and just kind of went for it. So I will say for the negatives first, and there's a lot of them. The first and third acts are pretty boring when it comes to this movie. The second act is like sorta, kinda, a little bit intriguing, but falls flat in a lot of areas. It manages to feel slow and rushed at the same time. And by the end, I felt like we only got like half a movie with how rushed it managed to feel. Julie Gardner gives a relatively bored and one note performance, even though I've seen her in a lot of good stuff. She just didn't care. And the emotional depth is there, but not executed well at all. It feels like it's going through the motions of trying to give you this emotional attachment to these characters without doing anything to actually make you feel that fact. It just, for the most part, as I said, opening the review, feels like The Fly, but not nearly as good, which I know is incredibly unfair. So incredibly unfair, since that movie is the best metamorphosis transformation movie of all time. It shouldn't be the be all and end all, but when your movie essentially rips off the final fucking scene of that movie without any of the emotional weight in the original scene, you kind of deserve it, not gonna lie. It just feels like the character depth and emotional weight only comes in when it's convenient. There's a good scene of Abbott and Gardner earlier on in the movie talking about their struggling marriage and how Gardner isn't sure she can be a good mother again. Yet in the very next scene, she's acting like a pretty good mother to me and pretty much for the rest of the movie. So did they just fucking forget about that part? Like it has these enriching emotional moments that you think are going to be explored in some way, and then they're just thrown away like it's nothing, making us not really give a fuck because it feels like the writer doesn't give a fuck. So it's essentially a if you don't care, why should I situation. It's also one of those movies where characters make questionable decisions throughout the whole movie, i.e., like that infamous Geico commercial with the whole, why don't we just go into the running car exchange? Why does this guy open the car door? Why do they go on top of a building made out of glorified tarp instead of going into the house? Why open the door for a full couple of seconds so the monster can come back in? Why barricade one door but not the other? Very idiotic. Not as many dumb decisions as I thought there would be. So there is that, but still a lot of questionable ones. As well as being filled with idiotic tropes and cliches, I called the very obvious twist they were going to do earlier on in the movie. And I'm like, oh god, they're fucking gonna do the fucking, oh, his dad is the Wolfman, and then they fucking pulled the fucking that goddamn trump. I'm like, oh god damn it, this movie. I was rooting for you too. God damn it. However, I will say I don't like totally hate this movie. I think there is a bit of good that prevents this from being the worst thing ever. The absolute like worst movie of the year. I really like the conversations that Abbott and Gardner have with their daughter because it feels like they aren't talking down to their kid. I really appreciated that. It kind of reminded me of the original Pet Cemetery, where it does something similar with the father and daughter in that movie. And ironically, that's another mediocre film with few good things in it. Abbott delivers a very good performance, and the kid isn't too bad. I don't know her name, but she did okay. But unfortunately, isn't really given a lot to do except complain about like my feet hurt and why is dad turning into a monster, and that's kind of it. I don't. I'm gonna be alone on an island with this one, but I have to mention it. I don't hate the look of the actual Wolfman, and I think him not looking like a werewolf is a pretty I think it's a superficial criticism to me personally. It reminds me a lot of the whole Superman doesn't smile criticism in Man of Steel. And this movie, here's the thing, the movie has got plenty of actual fucking reasons to dislike. So I just find that that was a weird thing to know when the whole point is like modernizing the character and they make him look like a combination of a werewolf and a man, hence Wolf Man. I don't know. I kind of understood what they were going for, so I don't like totally hate it. But yeah, it's not horrible by any means, but it takes a great concept and great ideas and mishandles it with horrible pacing, lack of emotional depth, being boring, and being rushed as fuck. It does have some good things, but that doesn't save this from being an incredibly mediocre film. I will say this. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. And that's probably worse. So I give it a 5 out of 10. Right, dude, you have the floor.
Okay, so I don't have a review written, so I'm probably just gonna say fuck it, and I'm gonna wing it. So, yeah, I know me winging a review. What a shock. Anyway, Wolfman. I'm not really a big, massive Wolfman fan kind of here. I mean, I love the original movie with Lon Chaney Jr. The 2019 or the not the 2019 the 2010 movie. That was like dumb fun kind of thing. I thought. For this, I will say that I was a little bit skeptical, but I was willing to give it a chance. And the reason I was a little skeptical is because it's a Blumhouse movie. And pretty much while there are hidden gems here and there, like Get Out, Ouija Origin of Evil, Halloween 2018, they pretty much like 75% of their movies are garbage. So however, what did kind of pique my interest a little bit was Lee Whannell, and I do really like what he did with The Invisible Man. Which, fun fact, my brother and we were going to do like the first week that COVID hit, we were going to have a double feature with Invisible Man and Pixar's Onward, but unfortunately, that's when, like I said, that's when COVID happened, and unfortunately, we had to put that double feature at home. So, but I'm getting off topic. So anyway, I was at least a little bit intrigued because I do like what he did with the Invisible Man. Unfortunately, just like with what John said, I can't help but be very disappointed. In fact, this is not a. I can honestly say this is not a good movie at all. So let me at least get some good things out of the way. I do like the idea that it was trying to purvey. Like it was trying to go with a 1986 version of The Fly by David Cronenberg. Like it's more about the slow transformation of of this guy turning into the Wolfman, kind of like Jeff Goldblum slowly turning into a fly, you know. I do like that idea. Unfortunately, a good idea is completely different than what is being executed, and unfortunately, this movie does not execute very poorly. So, in my opinion, the acting, honestly, a lot of the acting just was not very good. It just felt kind of flat and wooden to me. The characters were just, I said that they're about as interesting as like a wet slice of bread. So you just, honestly, I just didn't care about any of these characters, what was going on. The twist at the end where the original werewolf was the father at the end, that was honestly a little too obvious. And I mean, I'm sorry, but I thought the Wolfman looked kind of laughable. Like, honestly, no joke, I do remember laughing my ass off when I first saw the Wolfman. It just honestly looked a little too silly, and the CGI just did not look good on it. So, and honestly, and the pacing dragged on, and that brings up me to my next problem. It's so boring. No, honestly, it's just like watching it. I just remember like halfway through it, I was just like, "Can we just hurry it up and get this over with?" Because I was honestly just looking at my my Fitbit, which pretty much is like my watch now, just figuring out what the time is, because it's like I just got so bored on what was going on. I just really did not care. If I don't care about the story or the characters, then it's like I'm just not gonna care. It's just I just got so bored. So, and that's honestly the biggest thing for me. So, and but overall, this is just kind of what you expect from like the shitty Blumhouse horror trash that they produce nowadays. It's a movie released in January, so I mean, I had a little bit high hopes for Leigh Whannell, but that's about it. And he let me down with this one. So with that, unfortunately, I'm sorry to do this in the middle of my review, John, but I'm saying fuck it and I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 10. So yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. So I'm sorry to change my rating.
Unlike certain people, I actually don't give a fuck, so you don't have to worry about me.
All right, then. All right, Ben.
Okay, like John said, I'm a huge fan of werewolves. I love the idea of metamorphosis from man to beast. Ergo, I'm a fan of werewolf movies. The original Wolfman, the 2010 Wolfman, American Werewolf in London, The Howling, Ginger Snaps, Bad Moon. I'll even classify Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban as a werewolf movie. And I wouldn't say that I've classified many that I've seen as terrible. However, after seeing this, that would fall under that category of being terrible. I feel like it does have, like many werewolf movies, have some creative concepts. Like it shows the perspective of the man turning into beast and what he sees and hears. That thought was inventive. However, it does not save this movie from being good. For starters, the editing was sloppy. I felt that the camera work was just going all over the place. The acting is so dull that I couldn't care for any of these characters. The design for the werewolves looked more hilarious than intimidating. Most of all, it is boring, and it tries to save that with cheap jump scares. Overall, it's just not a movie worth howling for. I give it a 3 out of 10.
I really dig your
I see what you did there.
That was clever. That was really, really cool. Sorry, let me bring up my review here. Sorry, I did not have it ready. But I can go ahead. Yeah, I can go ahead and start because I do know what I want to say. Oh, here it is. Here, matter of fact. You know what? I was cautiously optimistic about this film for a long time. I was really optimistic at first, but my cautious optimism steadily morphed to skepticism as the release date of the film approached. Despite Whannell's very solid reboot of the Invisible Man, unfortunately, those instincts proved correct. The OG Wolfman, this ain't. Nor does it even approach it. It's not that he had a bad idea necessarily. I see exactly what he was trying to do. And it is an intriguing enough premise, generational trauma, specifically from, it's a cautionary. He tried to turn it into a cautionary tale about the dangers of generational trauma, specifically from father to son. And as with the Invisible Man film, I like the bold approach. There's a good film in here somewhere, but somewhere along the way, he seems to have lost it. Whether because the film was rushed or it was due to studio interference, I cannot say. But either way, the finished product we got just does not work. Sadly, it falls far short of his apparent vision. The main issue is that as a matter of fact, it's not even entirely clear exactly what that vision is. The main issue is that he fails to establish a personal connection to make us care. He gives the viewer scant development on which to hold, using a paint by numbers approach that feels very sterile and stale rather than flowing naturally. We get an intriguing scene of young Blake, played by Zach Chandler, with his strict father, Grady, played by Sam Yeager, hunting in the wilds of Oregon. Grady is hard on the kid, taking a very critical approach that prioritizes survival skills over the love and affection that every child needs. We're supposed to see this father as abusive, as emotionally, verbally abusive, but yet the man still has a point. And while he is a bit harsh, he does have a point that the boy wasn't paying attention and he does need to learn to be careful and listen. So it's not entirely clear. That doesn't really come across very well. And, we don't really get enough of this to establish their relationship before it comes to Brady as an adult, played by Christopher Abbott, caring for his, chastising his own daughter for performing a dangerous stunt beside a busy street in a big city. And it seems that they were that he was trying to establish some kind of connection between their respective parenting styles between he and his father, but instead comes off as genuinely concerned dad trying to keep his daughter safe, as his daughter tried to do with him. And again, it utterly fails to establish any kind of toxicity in the relationship between parent and child. Whether this was on purpose or not, I cannot say. Honestly, he may have wanted to make Brady seem like he was trying hard not to become his dad. But if so, why not show him failing to protect his little girl instead? If that was the case, wouldn't that make more sense? Or would that not make the point better? It seems to me it would have been even better to show a toxic relationship, somewhat of a toxic relationship between them, perhaps with a little more self-awareness on his part, so he could show that he's, he's afraid to becoming his father. I don't want to tell the man how to make a movie, and I don't want to go against my general maxim that you have to review the movie you have rather than the movie you wanted to see. But I don't think that really applies here, because honestly, the point is that no matter what the alternatives were, could not have been what he actually did put down on the screen. Just does not work. Another issue is that he tries to do too much and too little at the same time. As already mentioned, the relationships between he and his father and between he and his own child are given short shrift. Is when they should be the beating heart of the film. Instead, he shoves in poor Julia Gardner as his wife, Charlotte, with the marriage apparently on the rocks because she is on the phone with her boss too much. I mean, that's about the extent of the character development she gets in this film, which leaves its female characters by the wayside, except perhaps from Matilda Firth as young Ginger, but even she isn't given a whole lot to do until the end. And at least she's giving something, though, which is more than I can say for Julia Garner as his wife, Charlotte. We're meant to see their relationship deteriorate despite their attempts to repair it. And, Leigh Whannell has described this, but instead it just distracts from the main story, with both being severely underdeveloped. His mother is referenced as dying in the opening scene, but not shown in any meaningful way, which pretty much typifies the problem with this film. There is too much exposition and not enough real development. In layman's terms, it tells instead of shows. In trying to do too much, it winds up doing far too little. The inspiration he took from Cronenberg's 1986 adaptation, The Fly, is clear, but he seems to have taken the wrong lessons. The slow transformation effect is an intriguing one, but he fails to tie it into the emotional context of the film in any meaningful way, as Cronenberg did with his film. We cared about Brundle in The Fly because his relationship with his girlfriend Veronica, played by Gina Davis, was extremely well established, was firmly established first, and the film centered on that, the tragedy of her watching him do this to himself, and how she was kind of helpless to prevent it until there was nothing to do but just release him from his pain. But here we just don't get that. It's just never established. Whannell can't seem to decide if, by contrast, Whannell can't seem to decide if he wants to focus on the father-son aspect or the husband-wife part, and both suffer as a result. That's aside from the fact that the transformation and the design aren't nearly as intriguing as in Cronenberg's groundbreaking adaptation, because of The Fly. Because wait, I lost my part. Wait a second. Oh yeah, it was as Cronenberg's groundbreaking body horror film. I've seen all the jokes that compare the creature to a Wendigo, and while I cannot agree on literal grounds, it does emphasize the point that the creature does not look wolf-like enough. Whereas Brundle eventually lost any trace of his humanity, at least physically, Brundle is still mostly recognizable as a man, even at the very end of the film. It's kind of like he's stuck somewhere in the middle of that transformation. I don't think he took it far enough in making him look enough like a wolf. So that alone does not make it a bad. And again, I emphasize that alone does not make it a bad film per se. It could have had a bad design and still been a very, very good film. But it does stand out in the context of the rest of the flaws. Like the script itself, it tries to straddle the line between two things and winds up being a poor representation of either. So it doesn't look wolf-like enough, it doesn't look man-like enough. So I mean, it's like it's kind of a little poor representation of both. At the end of the day, this film is more of a missed opportunity than anything. It's not a bad idea to take inspiration from The Fly, but what we got was a ploddingly slow, underdeveloped mess of a film with a poor creature design and no emotional anchor whatsoever. And my score is a 4 out of 10.
All right, so a bunch of our friends could not join us for today, but I do have some reviews for Cinematic Sterling, aka Devin. We have a voice memo, and then for Rome, we have a written review. I don't know if Zach has a written review. I don't think he does.
I don't think he.
I don't. Rating.
Yeah, just say his rating.
Yep.
I mean, I tried contacting Zach, but couldn't get up with him.
Fine. So he's probably sleeping. So this is Cinematic Sterling's review of Wolfman. Hold on. Gotta make sure the volume is all the way up. Come on. Why is this not working? It's not letting me play. Hang on. Gotta restart. I fucking hate Messenger. It's not letting me play. Can one of you guys try and play it? For some reason, it's not letting me play.
Sure. Let me see. Is it in the main chat or?
Oh, he sent it to me personally. Hold on.
All right.
There we go.
I am not physically a part of the stream, but you can hear the sound of my beautiful angelic voice. And even better, you get a winger review. Woohoo! Yeah. So anyway, when it comes to my thoughts on Wolfman, I wouldn't say I was excited for it, but I was definitely intrigued. Because of course it's a horror movie in January. 9 times out of 10 they suck. But what really brought my attention it was going to be directed by Leigh Whannell, and he did an excellent job with the Invisible Man remake from 2020. I watched that movie again not too long ago, and I still think it's really good. So I had some hope that he would do something cool with the Wolfman like he did with the Invisible Man, because I liked the idea of that movie where it was a commentary on abusive relationships, while also, the way he turns invisible, I think makes sense. He's just, instead of accidentally turning himself invisible, he uses a suit. Like that it works. So I was curious what he would do with this one, and I thought this movie was crap. It fucking sucked. When it comes to my positives, I liked Christopher Abbott. I thought he did a really good job, in the lead role. I thought he was a very likable character. I liked some of the ideas, like of him, like slowly, becoming the Wolfman, and his senses changing. I thought that was kind of cool. But that's really it. The rest of the characters, they're very bland. I don't remember much about the wife or the daughter. I knew their marriage was on the rocks. I really didn't care. I didn't think the movie was scary. I found it to be more boring. I know they were trying to do a more like claustrophobic horror movie, but I don't think it works here. And I fucking hate how the Wolfman looks. When I saw those like promo shots, I thought like, okay, this isn't what he's gonna look. This isn't what this thing's gonna look like, right? And woof. No pun intended. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with this design. Like this Wolfman looked like someone I'd see on the street when I come from a venue I go to in Camden, New Jersey. It looked like a methed out hobbit. Like this fucking thing feels more like a fucking Wendigo than a Wolfman. Like why are we putting the emphasis on the man and not the wolf? Like you could make this you can make this creature anything and it wouldn't notice, and it wouldn't change. Like again, this thing in terms of like lore and its actions, this thing is a Wendigo. It's a fucking Wendigo. I don't know if this is Leigh Whannell's fault. I don't know if it was the crappy script, but yeah, this was not a good movie. I'm pretty underwhelmed, and like I know like people are saying, oh, you shouldn't expect much. It's a January horror movie, especially for fucking Blumhouse. But I expected better because this dude gave us one of the better modern remakes of a Universal monster movie. Again, I praise the Invisible Man. That movie's really fucking good. So I don't know what they were thinking with this movie. If you want my advice, watch the original Wolfman, watch The Howling, watch American Werewolf in London, or Ginger Snaps. Just there's better werewolf movies out there. It's a shame because we're kind of like there's kind of been a comeback with vampires last year because we had Abigail, we had the Valdrick, and we had Nosferatu. I'm waiting for that with werewolves. It looks like we're probably going to need Robert Eggers to save us again with his werewolf movie in 2026. So yeah, if you want my advice, just I wouldn't even bother watching this movie. I know it bombed. I don't know. Just watch Presents. Actually, I don't know if it's still in theaters, but watch Better Man. Better Man was better than this. Pun intended. Haha. So I'm gonna give this movie a 2 out of 10. Yeah, not good.
All right. So yeah, that was Devin's review. I don't know what was the Messenger app fucking sucks. Zuck, what are you doing, man? Like, we know you're a dumbass and a piece of shit, but get your fucking apps working, you loser. Anyway. All right, dude is gonna read Rome's review of The Wolfman.
So this is Rome's review of Wolfman. Wolfman is no invisible man. This film has many issues, starting with bad editing and bad performances. Most of the film is hard to watch because nothing happens until the last 25 minutes, and that does not save the movie. I enjoy Leigh Whannell's The Invisible Man and gave this a chance despite the bad trailers and the look of the Wolfman, which looked more like a ghoul than a Wolfman. At least they didn't say it was looked like a Wendigo. So, but anyway, I don't know. Anyway, the lead actor, Christopher Abbott, was not great at this. He brought a weak performance, and I never cared about him. I understand what the director was trying to do between the father and son stuff, which it was very predictable and foreshadowing from the beginning. I didn't think Julie Gardner was good in this either, but she also did not have much to do. There was enough time to build a connection with the family and the father and son relationship. It is a very bad, basic film that did not feel like a Wolfman movie, but something else, and the studio thought this was a good story for a Wolfman in name only. And he gives it a 2 out of 10.
I love the brief.
And he also said Wolfman is a dog shit movie.
Yes, exactly. I was just about to say that. I love the lengthy review he gave in the chat. Wolfman is a dog shit movie. 2 out of 10. That's Rome's for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't you mean Wolfman is wolf shit?
Yeah.
So,
But they're a dog family. It still works. It's
yeah,
okay.
exactly. Yeah.
And also Zach isn't here to explain his fucking weird rating, but Zach gave it a 7.5 out of fucking 10.
Oh God, yeah. He said something about it in the chat. He was saying
like,
he doesn't see
he's like,
what
y'all are tripping. This actually had real emotional depth, and I'm like, bitch, where?
Exactly.
Emotional death.
Yeah. I don't see it. I mean,
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it had no emotional depth whatsoever.
No.
Also,
really.
Speaking of Robert Eggers' Werewolf, or however we're gonna fucking pronounce it, my headcanon is this, because he was talking about, I remember like we all shared that link where it was like a couple weeks ago, a month ago, I forget when, where he was like, these are the movies that Robert Eggers wants to do, and he mentioned them in an interview. He wanted to do a Western, he wanted to do another Gothic horror movie, he wanted to do an H.P. Lovecraft adaptation, he wanted to do a bunch of stuff. And the one he mentioned the most was The Night, which he apparently just finished the script for. And so he was like, okay, so my headcanon is this. He's like, all right, cool. I'm Robert Eggers. I just finished my amazing Nosferatu adaptation. I did a great job. Cool. Awesome. Well, my next amazing movie is going to be The Night. I can't wait to do my medieval epic. But here's the thing. I really want to go see a movie. What movie should I see? Oh, Wolfman. That looks okay. I'm going to go see Wolfman. And then he goes to see Wolfman. Then he comes out of the theater. He's like, I need to show these motherfuckers how to make a goddamn werewolf movie. Werewolf, that's my next movie now. Fuck it. That's my headcanon.
Perfect.
Wait, is he? I was gonna say, is he gonna do Wolfman next, or is he doing the Labyrinth sequel?
I actually don't know if I think he's supposed to do. He said Werewolf is 2026, so I think Labyrinth might come soon after that. Although I have no fucking clue how that's gonna work.
That's honestly kind of a weird change, because like he's doing all of these like Gothic period piece movies, and then out of nowhere a sequel to Labyrinth.
I guess it's his like
random. I guess
it's his like dipping his toe into like an IP. I know Nosferatu kind of is an IP, but like not really. I mean, it is, but like not in the way like a modern IP is. Like Labyrinth is like it was such a big like cult phenomenon, so like him doing that is weird. Plus it was a movie that partially took place in like modern day. That's where the movie starts.
Exactly.
And he said he doesn't, well, modern for the time, at least modern 80s. So I don't know how he's going to do that, because he mentioned in a recent interview, like doubling down on what he has said before. I don't want to do a modern movie. Like, I don't want to film a car. I don't want to film an iPhone. That just brings me death. So the only way I could see him doing that is like the entire movie takes place in the world, like the fantasy world where like the Goblin King reigns. And how the fuck you're going to do that without David Bowie is like beyond me. Are they gonna like fucking cast like Post Malone as the Goblin King now? Honestly,
I don't know.
You know what? Honestly, that would be a very interesting movie. Would it be good? Probably not, but I'd see Post Malone as the Goblin King.
Honestly, the only reason I would want Honestly, I'm just kind of thinking like Labyrinth sequel, and they bring in Devin's favorite actress, Jennifer Connelly.
They bring back Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah.
No, Chris Pratt as the Goblin King. Boom, there you go. Aquafina as Jennifer Connelly's character. They just recast her. Yeah, perfect. But yeah, it's just I will say I liked the werewolf. Going back to the actual fucking movie we're supposed to be reviewing, I will say I like the werewolf POV. I thought that was kind of a cool thing, and I like how he can't understand like human language, and that he's like so like
that's what I
far
was
beyond
thinking of.
human. Yeah. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Ben?
I was saying that's what I was thinking of bringing up in my review.
Yeah, I like that idea of like him like being so isolated, like a guy who's like a family man now being so isolated to the point he can't even hear him. Again, it's a great idea, and it makes sense why like the werewolves like they don't listen to reason, because the thing is like at least with the vampires they're like aware. Werewolves are beasts, they're monsters, so like giving them like they're so animalistic to the point like I mean dogs can kind of dogs, cats, birds, they can all like kind of understand us like commands and stuff like that, but they don't like fully understand our language or languages. So like having him to the point it's like, oh, he legit can't understand the people around him. Okay, that's kind of a cool idea. But it was one of those movies where it was like it was so slow and boring, but it was so rushed. It went at like a snail's pace. But like at the same time, it felt that the transformation went by like that, and then it felt like we only got half a movie. Like I don't know how to explain it, but like it just felt so like abrupt. Like, okay, we're gonna spend time on this, and then we have to go to the next thing. Like it didn't have like a flow to it. As Rome said, there was bad editing. Ben, I think you mentioned that too. So yeah, it was just a lot of like weird editing, and I don't know, it's just like a very like it was like it felt like not even like a Frankenstein's monster, but it just felt off to me. Like it didn't feel right. Like I didn't feel like I watched a movie with flow. Like I watched just like almost like vignettes of a movie. Like here's the father-son thing. Here's before the storm. Here's when he gets bit. Like it doesn't like it's like it feels like a robot like fucking edited. Like it let's cut it here, let's cut it. It didn't like have that naturalistic flow to the whole thing.
Edited by AI.
Yeah, like I was literally just gonna say, felt like it was edited by AI. Like really, it was just awkward.
Yeah, it's very choppy. Yeah, exactly.
Hey Ben.
Yeah.
You said you've seen Wes Craven's Cursed, right?
Yeah.
Like, which one would you say was worse, this or that?
Probably this, because at least I could get a good laugh of the werewolf flipping off Christina Ricci, Wednesday Addams. If anyone who hasn't seen that movie knows what I'm talking about,
exactly.
Please raise your hand.
Who's that?
I haven't seen Cursed, but I know like the production problems with that movie and how fucking the Weinsteins fucked that up. The original idea was really good and really interesting, and then they just fucking and then the effects were terrible.
Yeah, the effects were terrible. Problems. Especially for the transformation for the werewolf.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a shortage of great werewolf movies. I mean, really, because you have the original Wolfman.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, the 1941 that we all love. Exactly.
Right here.
Exactly.
And I've heard good things about the Joe Johnston remake with Benicio del Toro, at least the uncut version. I've heard that one.
I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was great, but I didn't think it was as bad as everybody thought. But I thought it was all right. But and then again, it's been a long time since I've seen it. So
honestly, maybe this movie will make it even better because it was so bad.
Yeah, honestly, I think this. From what I remember, it was definitely better than this. So I mean,
I remember
which
at
one?
least had a clear vision.
the Joe Johnston Wolfman. It had Hugo Weaving and Emily Blunt and Anthony.
Yeah, I saw that
Hopkins.
when I was a senior in high school.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I thought that one
Yeah.
was like. I thought that one was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun.
But yeah, because I feel like we haven't gotten like vampires. We have so many more
Oh, yeah.
vampire movies than werewolf
yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
I think it's just because it's easier to do a vampire movie because it's like a guy and he wears like a long cloak and like maybe he has vampire fangs. Meanwhile, werewolves, you have to dress up a whole thing. You got to have prosthetics. You got to have makeup. It's a lot more to do with werewolves than it is with vampires. Hence why, not as many. I mean, you have American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, like I
Amazing.
said, there are some that don't classify as werewolf movies, but have a werewolf in them. So technically they are like I mentioned, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban and Big
Yeah.
Fish.
John's favorite Harry Potter movie.
Yeah. Honestly, I will say The Howling is overrated. I could not get into The Howling. I like Joe Dante. I like Dee Wallace. But I could not get into The Howling. I thought it was really boring. It was like okay, like the start of it was really good, like really promising, but then it just kind of fell flat for me.
Yeah.
I recently saw Wolf with Jack Nicholson. I thought that was pretty good.
Oh yeah,
that was
I've
another
never got
one where it
around
was
to
more
that.
like
or Dog
Wolf
Soldiers.
Man. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that was really good. I really like that one.
Yeah, I've
I
wanted
mean,
to finish Dog Soldiers for a while, but I never got around
I
to
still
it.
need to finish that. I started watching it. I still have like over half the movie to finish. Like it's not bad. It just like I got caught up with so much shit and then I just haven't had the time to go back to it. It's good from what I saw. I like the cast. I like Kevin McKidd and Sean Pertwee, but and Liam Cunningham, but I need to go back to that and Infested. I need to go back to because those were the October movies I didn't finish, so hopefully I can go back to those soon.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's I feel like werewolf movies are definitely not as many as there should be, I think.
Although I will say this, there's more werewolf movies than there are for Frankenstein or Preacher from the Black Lagoon.
To be fair, those are very specific. Like where it's like werewolf and vampire are very generic. They're like a creature, they're a species. Well, Frankenstein's monster is it's like a guy built in a lab by a guy named Frankenstein. It's more like specific. Gilman, I will say there's not a lot of Gilman movies. Although apparently James Wan, that's his next movie, is Creature from the Black Lagoon, and a remake of that, which should be interesting. Hopefully James Wan can, after, working on another underwater movie, let's hope he can do this one a lot better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like, there's not too many, although there is, one who, The Shape of Water.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, Shape of Water's great.
Yeah, instead of a fish scaring people, a fish man scaring people, it fucks.
Exactly. He's not the monster.
Fish man fucks.
Yeah, exactly. He's not the monster. We are. But
Michael Shannon,
another one,
his weird fucking smelly fingers.
Another one that gets overlooked, because it has vampires in it too, is Underworld. I mean, especially the third one I thought was a lot of fun, Rise of the Lycans. That focuses more on the werewolves, and I thought that one was a lot of fun. But then again, I kind of like that series too. I mean,
I've only seen the first two. I've only seen the first two Underworld movies. I like the first one. I really didn't care too much for the second one, and I haven't really seen the other ones.
It was described to me as Twilight for guys.
That's actually not a bad description. It's actually not a bad description. It's still fun though. I mean, I like
good schlocky.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the second one I agree is a step down.
Like, come on, that's.
I will say this. I'll say this about the second one. I mean, even though I didn't care for it, you at least get to see Kate Beckinsale's tits.
Oh dear God! I mean, Kate Beckinsale, she's gorgeous. She's really good in those films. I mean, she's great in all of them. She's a lot of.
Yeah, and then wasn't she also in? Speaking of werewolf and vampires, wasn't she also in Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman?
I think she was. Yeah,
I think she was. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was that. I feel like that's another movie from what I've heard. I haven't seen it. Another one where it was like really good ideas but fell flat. I think that should be a movie that should get remade because I feel like that's like where you have everything like in the Universal monster shit is like canon and like everything is under that. I think they should like not necessarily remake Van Helsing, but like have the idea of like everything, all the Universal monsters or all of the old school like monsters, the like, Mary Shelley, Bram Stoker, all of that in one like universe already, but everything is like not like, oh, let's start a cinematic or like Dark Universe, Dracula Untold, whatever they tried to do. I think they should just have everything is already established
The
and then
Mummy.
just go from there because I think that could be a lot of fun. Like Van Helsing, but like done better, like done well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just
Yeah.
me, but yeah, I think that could be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's what it leads to. Whenever we talk about a bad movie, we just talk about other shit because we don't want to talk about this fucking shit anymore. But that's what it kind of is, though. It's just like there's not really much. It's just like it's not even one like, oh, maybe catch it on streaming. Don't even catch it on streaming. It's just not good. Go see Better Man. Go see
Exactly.
Go
I mean,
see,
if you want to see a werewolf movie, there are better options. You obviously
there
got
are
the
better
Lon Chaney.
options.
Honestly, I would say go see the 2010 remake. You know, that one's at least fun.
Yeah, from what I've heard, I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's good, relatively. But yeah, like you have that. I know Wolfen is like kind of good schlocky kind of crap, but it's like fun. Late Phases is a good one. That's like that's Late Phases.
I've never heard of that.
Late Phases, I would recommend it. It's got Ethan Embry in it. It's about this guy. He's blind. He's like an old school war vet, and and his son, played by Ethan Embry, puts him into like a nursing like community. It's not a nursing home, but it's like kind of like a mix between like a condo type of thing and a nursing home. And like immediately like werewolves attack him and kill his dog. Like at the very we get like a John Wick situation. So essentially this blind old school war vet, to get revenge for his dog dying, which is also a seeing eye dog, it realizes that like werewolves are like part of this nursing home community, and then goes full like war vet on them, and it's really great. The werewolves look, I mean, it's an indie movie, so they look not great, but like they try. But it's a very fun movie. It's not amazing, but he's I let the main guy, I forget his name, but he's really good. And he goes, it's a very good kind of schlocky B movie, but like in a really good way.
Oh, it's a B movie. That's
yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Zach just sent a voicemail of his review in the chat.
It's on Ben. It's on Amazon Prime and Tubi for free. So I would say catch it if you like werewolf stuff. But it's a lot of Nick D'Amici is Lance Guest is in it too. Tom Noonan, a bunch of old school horror guys. Okay. But yeah, good movie. Not amazing, but a lot of fun. So let me get.
Yeah, Zach had to send his review like at the last minute, so.
Yeah, well, so I guess we'll play it.
Now
let me wait for it to load. I fucking hate Messenger so much.
Do you want me to play it on my end?
Yeah, you try to play it because mine's taking forever to fucking load. Because
all
it says for me is sent a voice message, but the voice message doesn't fucking show up.
I'll play it on my end.
Yeah, go play it because this.
All right, man.
Fucking hate this app.
Wait. Shit. Hold on.
Hey, gents. Sorry I can't make it today, but got another huge fucking migraine today, so fun. But I'm gonna give my thoughts on Wolfman here. So I'm there in Spirits. It was a movie that I was initially very excited for, just because of how well the Invisible Man reboot was done. That was a very good modern take on that classic story. and I was expecting nothing less from this one. Like, I was really, really hyped for it, especially with Leigh Whannell still attached to it. But then the early reviews started coming in. I was getting kind of worried, so that kind of dictated my expectations going in. But I really dug it. It's nowhere near as good as Invisible Man. Like, that is like a 9, maybe 9.5 for me. But there's a lot of good elements here. Like, just the initial idea that they said they were going off of, inspired by The Fly, going for the slow burn approach with this transformation, making it a tragedy. I thought those were good ideas, and in execution, I thought it was stuff that was explored really well. Is it The Fly in terms of quality? Hell no. But I respect that it's not even trying to be. Like, on its own merits, this is still a very tragic, even sometimes emotional version of the Wolfman story that I felt had a lot of heart. Like, that the relationship between the father and daughter, I especially thought was very sweet. And going into some spoilers, like the ending, especially, I'm glad they did it the way they did, where when he's going up to them in the freaking treehouse and all, like, he doesn't just attack them at first and all. It's like maybe a part of him still in there. Like, they're holding on to that emotional core of the fact that this is still like a husband, a father. And to reverse it, like, I liked that they didn't lose sight of that with how the mother and the daughter are reacting to that too. They don't just go full survival mode immediately, like, oh, this is some kind of creature, we got to kill him and all. Like they really take the time to let it sit, the fact that, again, this is a husband and a father that they're losing to this transformation and this madness. And okay, it didn't make me cry or anything, but I thought it was executed pretty well. The only issue I really have is that, I don't know, you could have added a little more, honestly. Like, I don't really know what specifically you could add, but just the way that it's paced, I feel like there's more that could have been there to flesh some things out. So it's not totally perfect, because if they fleshed some things out more here and there, like a few more minutes here and there, I think this could have been on par with The Invisible Man. But as is, I'm going 7.5 out of 10. Nowhere near as good as Invisible Man, but so far these modern Universal monster movie reboots are still going pretty strong, and I'm excited to see where the rest of them go. They ain't lost me yet.
Okay.
Maybe he watched a different movie than us. I don't see how the movie was executed well in terms of emotional anything.
Yeah.
I just felt it was very one note, or like a plot device at best. Like, it was like, oh, let's establish this thing, but it's not explored at all.
No, exactly.
It's not. It's like it's there, but it's not the because there's a difference between having it inserted into a movie, written into a movie, but like you have to like enhance that. Like, it felt like I did mention this in my review, but it felt like a writer like directing writing, is, if that makes sense. He doesn't like emphasize anything. He doesn't build it up. He doesn't like it felt very, as I said, robotic in a way, where it was just like, we have to film this scene to do it this way. Yeah. We have to film this scene to do it this way. And it doesn't, there's no like core there to make the movie work. Like, it certainly would have been an interesting idea, again, if maybe a better filmmaker, maybe a better writer, like having it be a true broken marriage. It's not like, oh, we have a broken marriage, and then
exactly
like not being fucking mentioned at all. Because like in the second half of the movie, she's like, oh my God, I love you. You're my best friend. What happened to, I'm not a good mother and I hate you. Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean,
I felt like because the reason, as you were saying in your review, Mark, the reason The Fly worked is because they met, but it was like almost like an instantaneous chemistry, which helped because Jeff and Gina were dating.
Really were dating in real life, yeah.
So the chemistry was there, and it was brilliant. It was like a love at first sight. But the thing is, it didn't feel empty, like like a shitty rom-com. Oh, love at first sight. It felt like the core was there. Like the actors elevated the writing. David Cronenberg elevated the writing. Like the editor, Howard Shore's score. It was every single aspect built up. Sure, the script is your foundation. It is the foundation of every movie, and yet it's the blueprint. You got to make that work. But here's the thing: without a house, a foundation is nothing but a slab of concrete on the ground. And that's exactly what this movie is. You have a foundation, but it's like you have a wall here, a fireplace over there, maybe like a pack of tiles, a chair somewhere. It's like, okay, these are elements of a house, but it's not a fucking house.
He doesn't tie it all together very well.
No. He doesn't. There was like one musical cue that was memorable when they were going into the bar, and I'm like, good music, real music. Where the fuck was this throughout the whole movie? I was like, whoa, music, that's crazy. And it just
I think it would have been better to just simplify it. Either just have the father and his kid, or living alone in the woods, just like he and his dad, or just focus on, or just drop the whole father-son shit, the parent-child thing, and just do he and his wife, and their relationship.
I feel
not do both.
Yeah, exactly. One of the other.
Like you could have made the family thing work, but like instead of like generational trauma and all that shit, just have it be a broken marriage struggling, because that's a good thing. Because okay, we're not trying to do The Fly. Let's not do The Fly, where it's a really good relationship and the chemistry is there and it works, and that's the emotional foundation. Well, what if we make a Fly-esque movie with a broken foundation of a relationship?
Exactly.
Let's try to make that work, and it could have, but it didn't work here. That's the problem. So it's a shame, and it sucks. And I don't think there would be like a director's cut that you can make out of this, because I can't see this getting salvaged at all.
There's too much.
It's just I feel like it's too kind of broken, as a foundation. Yeah,
exactly.
But it sucks. But like we have the original. We have the original remake. That was a period piece. And we have other great werewolf movies. Maybe somebody else can come in.
An American Werewolf in London,
one of the best.
Exactly.
And it's funny because a friend of mine posts a lot of like movie screenshots. He posted the ending. Spoiler alert for American Werewolf in London. If you haven't seen fucking American Werewolf in London, what the fuck is wrong with you?
What are you even doing with your life?
Stop watching a bunch of fat losers fucking talk about a movie. Go watch American Werewolf in London.
Seriously.
And it's just, I'm kidding, but
young hot Jenny and Gutter. Oh well, I mean she's still hot actually.
Yeah, that bush, goddamn. But that was the real beast of the movie. Anyway. I'm not complaining, but like it was like it's been a while since I've seen it. It's like been like 10-15 years since I've seen American Werewolf. I gotta, what, I might rewatch that soon. But what was so good about that, again, that was you had an emotional core there.
Exactly,
they meet, but they fall in love and it works in a werewolf movie.
Exactly.
And the thing is, at the end of the movie, when she's staring into David's eyes as a werewolf, and even though he's a beast, he's a monster, he doesn't look human at all. She still says, "I love you," and I'm like, "Hey, that's amazing! Look, emotional weight in a movie, Leigh Whannell." It's like the Simpsons slapping me. That's how you do emotional weight in a werewolf.
Well, I mean, exactly. You had, John Landis, who was just a master at those things. Great at mastering comedy. I mean, he's great at comedy.
Get the fuck out of here, Jack.
And great with comedy and good with horror too. I mean, even and he knows how to create emotional connection. I mean, look, when they needed a director for Beverly Hills Cop. No, not for Beverly Hills Cop. I think it was Coming to America.
Yeah.
was the one where he said, yeah.
Well, John Landis did do a Beverly Hills Cop 3.
He did do Beverly Hills Cop too, yeah. But I think it wasn't it Coming to America the one that saved his career? Or was
Pretty
it?
much.
Huh? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Because that was the movie he did after the whole,
Yeah, after the whole
Vic Morrow thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
After the Twilight Zone movie.
I remember my
incident.
mother talking about that. I remember my mother.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Like several people died, and there were two. How many died?
3.
It was Vic Morrow and
Vic Morrow and then 2
Vietnamese
children.
kids.
Two children. Yeah.
Oh God. But yeah,
and then he was acquitted. Like what in several years later.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, the point is, I mean, John Landis was like his Eddie. They asked, they were looking for a director. Eddie Murphy said, there's only one guy who could do this, John Landis. So I mean,
yeah.
Hey, so.
But it's just like John Landis is like known to be like kind of a dickhead, but he like what
But he is a talented director though. I mean, he knows how.
And I mean, and he was saying I remember somebody posted a comment about this, and he's like, when somebody asked him about the greatest werewolf transformation scene ever fucking put to film, they asked him what was your ideas in regards to why do this, why film it like this and all that shit, and he was like, if you're going from a 2-legged person to a 4-legged animal, that shit's gonna fucking
exactly. I mean, think about it. How puberty hurts, man. I mean, come on, shit.
And I love, and it just
growing pains. It would be like all of that in 5 minutes.
John Landis did this so well, again, intertwining the comedy and horror, kind of like with Sam Raimi for Evil Dead 2, where it's you're laughing, but then you're terrified at the same moment. But it's they go through this musical montage of him walking through the house. He's reading. He's doing this mundane shit, and then he throws the book away and just starts screaming his head off and rips his shirt off. And it's just almost funny, but then you're terrified for him. What the fuck is happening? And it's just
exactly. Yeah,
just that emotional comedy cut, but yeah, that was.
It was amazing watching the actor talk about it too. Because they said they brought him in, put the prosthetics on, did all that work to put all the prosthetics on him. It was 5 minutes of filming. That's it. It's 20 seconds, hardly any time. And he's like, "Yeah, that's it. We got enough." It's really? It's yeah, we got everything we need. It's damn.
Yeah, I like how when they were doing the hair, where they filmed it in reverse and they pulled under it. And then they reversed it, and then it looked like it was growing through rubber skin, his fucking hand, it just you hear the bones cracking.
Oh God!
And then you see his snout just growing out of his face. That's
what I wanted to see here. I figured see more of a snout and more hair. There was hardly any hair on them.
That's why people were like, "Oh, it's like a Wendigo."
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why people were saying that.
I didn't see that personally, just the pictures I've seen of Wendigos and that, but it's the folklore match.
I don't think it's a Wendigo. Yeah, but I think I can see the point as far as the point being there wasn't enough hair on it. Yeah, I think there was nearly enough hair. So he just threw some slide. Look, Robin Williams was hairier than that, for fuck's sake. I mean,
I'm hairier than that. I flash the camera, but I don't want to scar the audience. So. Actually, it's really funny. I was at my job years ago, back when I worked at the gas station, and I was bent. I was kneeled down, putting stuff on a shelf, on the bottom, and the collar on my shirt was all the way back because my neck was stretching over, and you could kind of see the hair on my back. And then my friend walked past me. He's like, "Bro, god damn, you look like a silverback gorilla." I'm like, "All right, why do you gotta fucking call me out like that, man?" But yeah, it's I'm hairier than that, straight up. I know, I know on the top of my head it doesn't show that, but full on chest, back, legs, pubes. Total hair. I'm hairier than the werewolves. In
you got hair right
and
here.
I got the hair right here. Letting it. I gotta let it grow because I cut it off too much a couple months ago. So I'm like, oh, let me grow it back. But yeah, it's just I if from a folklore point of view, I could see it, but I just don't see it from a point of view.
Well, I mean, I don't see it from a folklore point of view though, because I mean, from what I've read, the Wendigo, at least in the original Wendigo in Native American folklore, was more of a cautionary tale about greed. The people were mainly, it was more about greed than everything than about an animal. It's more about.
Devin doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about though.
But I mean, it's been kind of changed in pop culture.
It's like with how, because I mean that's how Native American culture works. It's like they don't really write stuff down. That's like oral history. Exactly. Yeah, it's a oral culture. Don't get your mind out of the gutter. But it's like, talking down from like one. Yeah. It's like a game of telephone almost.
Exactly, it is.
Like,
Exactly.
Like it's
and they've shown
like
that but
it's like this, and then it's like this, and then
I've read a lot about that. I mean, and it's funny because I mean, there's misconceptions about oral cultures that they preserve things perfectly and pass them down. No, they don't. I mean,
no.
They adapt them for each new telling. Each storyteller will adapt the story to each new generation. I mean,
for a new generation, how the culture is at the time, how society is at the time.
Yeah, but they preserve the heart of the story. That's what they do. I mean, it's not about the details, and they'll tell you it's like, no, it's the same story because it's not about the details. It's about the heart of the story.
Yeah,
it's about the message. Exactly.
But it's like a whole, so I didn't see that personally, but like, what the fuck do I know? I don't fucking know shit about shit.
I can see the point. I mean, I don't think it's so much as that it looks like a Wendigo. I mean, but I see the point. Is as far as the point being, it doesn't have enough hair. It doesn't look wolf-like enough.
I think they, as you said, now that they went to man.
Yeah, exactly. Man. Yeah, it's like it was stuck in kind of the middle of the transformation when it tended to go full wolf. I mean, I would have just gone full fucking wolf. I mean, shit.
Yeah. I would have given them more hair, more like, because what they try to do with Lon Chaney, it looks kind of awkward nowadays. Exactly. I mean, I love the movie where what they do is like you can kind of see it, kind of not when he's like in wolf form. Is that they tried to give him like partially like hind legs.
Yeah,
but it looks like Lon Chaney's just on his tippy toes.
Yeah,
exactly. And it kind of doesn't work, but like try to do that. Like give him maybe a little bit of a hind leg, maybe like
true. Yeah,
maybe like give him like an extra like joint or something like that. Just make it slightly more wolf. You don't even have to put more. I mean, more hair would be nice. Yeah. Exactly. But like you could just like make it, I don't know, the teeth bigger, or
I figure, I think should be really more like basically the transformation seen in American Werewolf, except gradually over time.
Like they tried to do, but it
over the whole course of the film,
didn't fucking work.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it sucks, but
I like American Werewolf's approach because he turned into really a gigantic fucking werewolf. Like,
and I love how the second transformation scene is in a fucking porno theater. Like,
exactly.
I just love. God, I love the 80s. Like,
exactly, the 80s, man. You gotta love it.
But yeah, honestly, that's kind of it. There's not really much else. It's just like I would say. Here's the thing. We always say try to support your local movie theater. Like, if you really want to see it that badly, I guess maybe, but like go see a better movie, Better Man. Go see Wicked again. It's still in theaters. I think The Brutalist, Last Showgirl, all of these are still like kind of in some theaters. So go watch one of those.
Showgirl, I think he's getting a wide release soon, or is it already has?
It's gotten like a small release. I don't know if it's gonna get a wide release.
It's supposed to be getting a wider release, I think. I think.
But yeah, go support Better Man. It's bombing hard.
Yeah,
they don't deserve it.
Well, I was gonna say, unfortunately, Better Man pretty much was pulled from my theaters 2 weeks after it aired.
Yeah.
So it's a shame. If you can find Better Man, go watch that.
Yeah, essentially yes. But that's kind of it. Next review. Is not next week, but the week after, the 8th. It's going to be a double feature of Companion and Love Hurts. It's hosted by this guy. It's gonna be an a-thon, gonna be a double feature. We won't reveal what kind of a-thon it is. It's got to be a surprise, but yeah, we got Jack Quaid and Ke Huy Quan battling people.
Yeah,
lovesick.
I am
going
totally
on.
down for Ke Kwan. You know, exactly. I'm totally.
Every time I see that trailer, like seeing Academy Award winner Ke Kwan just
Yes.
brings
Warms
like
your
it
heart,
fills me
man.
with the.
Exactly.
It doesn't make my love hurt. It makes my love grow stronger.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what. And I
Goonies
also
did good for themselves, man. The Goonies did fucking good for themselves.
Love Hurts. I love how they have oh, what's his name? I'm just here so I don't get fined. That guy. I love how he's in it. Like, oh hi, football player. I forget his name, but he's just the I'm just here so I don't get fined guy. But yeah, that's about it. You can subscribe to our personal channels, although I'm the only one that actually has videos. That still posts videos. But yeah, go see another movie. Don't even wait till streaming for this one. Anything else, gentlemen?
Can't really think of any.
Not really.
Yeah.
Can't
Okay.
really
Go watch the Lon Chaney or
even though
Benicio
there's
del
not
Toro version.
exactly.
But yeah.
There are good movies out there. Just me and I have to look a little bit. They're out there.
Remember, and before we forget, remember, I can't think of anything clever.
Yeah, I know.
Watch The Fly. Remember, watch The Fly instead.
Yeah, skip this and watch The Fly. Or watch the original Universal Monsters film.
Or watch the original. So
yeah.
Peace out, guys.
His Invisible Man movie. That was good.
Or watch the original Claude Rains Invisible Man.
Exactly.
Any of one of these. Just anything but this.
No.
Later.
Later.
Peace out, guys.
Yeah.
Once again, we have brought light into the world. You're welcome. America.